Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides, and today I am at Subaru of Port Richey, and I know you're probably scratching your head saying, Subaru of Port Richey, but that's a Corvette. Yes, you know your cars, very good, but you know what? Subaru of Port Richey has stepped up. They know I love Corvettes, and I'm never, ever gonna pass up the opportunity to do a review on a Corvette. So I don't know if you are aware or not, the Corvette to me is America's true sports car. It's been around since 1953, has stuck to its originality, I think almost no better than any other car. So in 1953, you had your choice of any color you wanted, as long as it was white with red interior. There were 300 Corvettes, all white, all red interior. What sucked about them was it had a straight six. Yes, a 6-cylinder in a Corvette, with putting out about 160 horsepower. 54, same story, only difference is now you had a choice of a blue or a red, as well as the white. The big year was 1955, when Corvette, you could option in a V8. They still had the straight six, but you could get that V8. And since 55, we have been pumping out V8s here in the United States with the Corvette, and this 2014 Stingray really brings it full circle in a way. So I don't know if you're 100% aware, but there are basically 7 generations of Corvettes. This is the 7th generation, and each generation is based off the body style. Now the quiz question of the day is, which generation ran the longest? I'll give you a few seconds. If you said the 3rd generation, you are 100% correct. That went from 1968 all the way to 1982. But anyways, back to this one. The reason why I bring that up is Stingray. Stingray was a name that came out in the 60s, stuck around for a little bit, and then disappeared. Well, guess what? It's back here with the 2014. Let's check out this 2014, because guess what? Even though this car is 4 years old, even though we're still in this generation, this was a total redesign, and I really like the direction Chevrolet went. So if you look at the styling here, you can see with the headlights, very aggressive, very stunning look to them, and I really like the way they have the separation of the LED headlight and also where your turn signals and whatnot are gonna be. I like that touch, very attractive, very sexy look. There is that original Corvette look. So what they did was they decided on the Stingrays to run this plastic chrome trim here. That harks back, if you look at this grille, that harks back to those early 1st generation Corvettes. I'm not a big fan of it. This for me is a zonk. You could actually get this blacked out, and if I was to buy a used one, I would get this blacked out. It's a little too shiny for me. For me, a sports car, a Corvette especially, I want to see more things blacked out. But there is our wonderful Corvette emblem. That's how it's been since day one, with the Chevrolet bow tie, and then you have the obviously checkered flag for racing. The aerodynamics in this car are second to none. I really like the touches. I would like to see a little bit of a lower front lip spoiler added here. This little design that they got going on looks good, but I'd like to see something full across. And you know, if you were to look at a Z06 or a Grand Sport, you would get a little bit more of what I'm talking about. Now, if you go onto the hood, you'll see it's really nice the way these body lines here go up onto the hood. And here is a nice functional piece. This actually drags heat out. It's also an aerodynamic aid. So that's another thing, that when we get to these later generations of Corvettes, all these vents become very functional, and I like that. Here is your standard Stingray wheel. Now, you had a plethora of wheels to choose from. This is your base 5-star design, very simplistic. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but hey, I think the silver and the blue works together. And it's just, you know, it's a very simplistic design, and I like the way you have the Corvette engraving in there, which gives it a nice touch. So I'm not crazy about the wheels. Do I hate them? No, but I'd rather have gone a different route, but that's just me. Here is another traditional thing. Now remember, Corvettes, lots of traditional things. Fiberglass, you know, the round taillights. Here's another tradition, that side vent. I really like what Chevrolet did by taking the vent. It's a functional vent, and it's nice and large. You know, they could have went smaller with it. I like it. And there it is, the Stingray is back. And I love this design that they did. Now, Stingray first was seen, does anybody know what generation? 1963 with the Stingray Corvette, that split window, and went through the 60s into the early 70s. But very nice touch. I like that a lot. I'm glad that didn't say Stingray. I'm glad they went with a 21st century Stingray design. And if you look at the front of this Stingray emblem, it matches the front of the car. Spot on. Let's go ahead and take a look down the side. So I really like the greenhouse of a Corvette. I like the way that the quarter window blends in with the side window. Very nicely done. Then you're going to have these functional air vents on both sides. This is going to drag air down to that transaxle. Remember, this is not like Corvettes of the past. The early Corvettes had your traditional setup of engine and transmission up front, differential out the back. This has a transaxle, so that means the transmission is at the back end of the car. Speaking of the back end of the car, this was a big talking piece for a while. People were a little frustrated with these lights. They thought, what happened to the round taillights? At first I was against them, but you know what? They still have a roundish appeal to them. Still the Ford taillights that have been used for many years, so I'm not really gonna get that hung up on it. I do like the side venting over here that's functional, and then you have this larger diffuser area with our 4 exhaust tips. I don't think there's any other car out there that pulls off 4 central exhaust tips like a Corvette. And that really just, I think, talks about the muscle behind it, the power. At the end of the day, you're looking at 455 horsepower from that small block V8 old pushrod technology, which is amazing because guess what? Chevrolet is still making it work. Speaking of that engine, let's go check it out. All right, guys, here's another Corvette tradition, that backwards opening of the hood. I really like the way Chevrolet stuck to this. My personal favorite, believe it or not, is the Ford generation. From 84 to 96, I like the way the whole hood, fenders and all, opens up. But this is really cool that they kept this feature. Let's go ahead and check out what's lurking behind it. Here's that 6.2 liter V8 putting out 455 horsepower. Now, this engine really isn't much to look at. You know, you got the plastic cover here. This is, though, the actual intake, which is cool. I wish they would have went with a little bit better design, just to make it look a little bit more aggressive. Sort of like I would say like a Challenger, the SRT Challenger or something like that. Not the Hellcat, but the Challenger or the Charger SRT, the one with the Scat Pack. I really like how that intake plenum looks. This one is fine. You got the plastic Corvette in the side, but you could really see how, remember, this car weighs about 3,300 pounds, and it's putting out 455 horsepower. So it's a pretty good balanced car. Now, if you want more performance, obviously they have the Z06, which is gonna be that supercharged 650 horsepower. You got a ZR1, 755 horsepower, but if you want something handling-wise, they do have the Grand Sport, which has the same motor, but with some extra handling and that Z06 bodywork. But I really like the way the engine is placed in here. Very easily accessible to everything, and it just shows that Corvette racing, winning Le Mans, winning Sebring and Daytona and all those races, has played off onto the roads. Engine's great, outside sexy. Let's see where the GM engineers have really been spending a lot of their time, and that's in the interior. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, we're inside this 2014 Corvette Stingray. This is where, like I was saying, the engineers spent their time. Look at these seats. I wish when I had my 85 Corvette that the seats looked this good. And these are just the base seats. You could actually get a performance seat as well, but they got some nice, decent bolstering. I love the material, very soft leather. I like the Corvette flags here. I like the way it's perforated. And like I said, it's got a good amount of side bolstering. Could use a little bit more bolstering down here, but that's always been an issue. Look on the door panel there. You can see the nice gray cross stitching. It's got leather gray armrest, Bose sound system. Very, very neat. Corvettes as well. I don't know if you see that button there with the white dot on it. That actually electrically opens the door. So that is actually your door opener to get in and out. You can see here how we have dual climate. Tom, show them over here. Look at that. That's pretty cool. You actually have the passenger controls here, and you have, obviously, the driver controls are going to be where the important business is happening in front of the driver. And speaking of the driver, I'm going to have you come around and take a look at what it's like behind the wheel of this 2014 Corvette Stingray. Let's check it out. All right, guys, here we are behind the wheel, the business end of things. I do like the design of the steering wheel. I'm not a big fan, though, of this plastic that they put here, but there's the wonderful Corvette emblem. You can see the great work that the engineers did with the dash. I like the way that the tachometer's right there, smack dab in the center, oil pressure, oil temperature, and your cooling gauge right underneath your fuel gauge. I like the mixture of the analog and the digital. It works for me. I like the layout of the controls. Now, this one is an automatic. Not really the biggest fan of automatics, especially in a Corvette, but it is what it is. That's the one that we have. Dual climate. I like the screen for the infotainment. Everything is like driver oriented. And that's something that Tom said. He sat in the passenger side and he's like, wow, this feels like my own area. And guess what? Yeah, I have my own area here. So it really works out really well. I like the way the Corvette emblem and name is on the lower sill here. Very nice touches, and you can see that the engineers really stepped up their game with the Corvette. I don't know about you, I'm ready to wrap this one up. All right, guys, so it's been one hell of a day here at Subaru of Port Richey. I want to give a huge shout out to Spencer, his grandfather, his uncle. It's a family affair down here at Subaru of Port Richey. They just opened up the doors for Raiti's Rides and for all of you, so definitely want to check them out if you're ever in sunny Florida. But at the end of the day, you can see the Corvette has come a long way. 1953 is where it all started. Now we're here in the 21st century, and Chevrolet is pumping out some amazing, amazing power and technology and features on the inside of the car. But if these are the types of cars that you like to see on Raiti's Rides, leave a comment in that comment section. If you have not hit subscribe yet, hit that button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more and more and more. If you have been on this journey with me since the beginning, thank you. I'm grateful, I appreciate it, and I'm really excited to share even more with you and wherever the hell this is going. I don't know, but it's going one way and that's up. If you haven't checked out my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all Raiti's Rides original content all the time. Check out my website, raitisrides.com. Huge shout out, Big Guns McGee, Tom Moschner, pumping the iron, holding that camera. We got the new gear. I'm sure it's working great on your end. It's working great on our end. And like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.